You know what? Looking at that bottom corner says, "Take a shy reading, Adventures of the TARDIS." Something written by Quill Scroll. I can't quite read that first word.
I
There.
think it's story.
Okay. That would make sense.
Yeah, maybe because it's outside of the screen. But yeah, something is written by Quill Scroll. And that's
Well,
something we are reading.
it is off the screen just a little bit, but I still see some of the text there, and I agree, that's probably what it says. Anyway, are you recording right now?
Yes, we are live. We should be live.
Then I got a question for you. Um, do you like a story where good friends pass along philosophical discussions?
It depends on the questions.
It depends on the question of the discussion?
Yeah?
Okay. Well, that's fair enough. I guess there could be some subjects you might be into and others you might not.
But no matter
Would you,
what
would
the
you get...
no matter what the question is, the answer is always gonna be 42. We know that.
Okay. Well, I guess, would you give the same answer about philosophy in general? Do you find the subject interesting or to watch or discuss, participate in?
I mean, seeing that I took the subject as one of my subjects at school, yeah.
I only taken that class once in community college, and that was one of the most fun classes I've ever been in. I loved it.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Well, I just pretty much been asking myself existential questions all my life, and when I took a philosophy class, I realized that that subject matter is just a natural fit for me because it's what I've been doing already all along. And there is where I found an environment where I found other people who do the same thing. So it's just a blast.
Back to the truth, I quit because I had to say something.
Yeah, when that happens, enjoying it can be relative. Like I took a drawing class before in the same community college, and I thought it would be a creative art, and it certainly can be. Um, but what I've done throughout all that semester was draw boxes over and over again for about 3 hours per class session. Because the point of that was to get the technique down, rock
Yeah?
solid. But it was so uninspiring and uncreative. And I actually ended up quitting that class. It was the only one I ever did that.
I wonder why. I mean, it is teaching you the basics and something I should actually do, which I have a problem with, drawing straight lines.
Right. That was the point. But I ended up quitting that class not only because it was boring, but because at one point it really upset me. Because I turned in some work that I worked really darn hard on, and I was proud of it. And when I asked the teacher about it, he said it was terrible, and she pointed out a whole bunch of flaws there. I stomped back my house fuming.
Hey, why didn't you draw a box and things inside of it?
Yeah, I was using rulers though, and very carefully measuring every line. It was the finest work I ever did, and he called it terrible.
You know what? That's called mathematics, that's not drawing. If you are using a ruler, I would say.
Well, it helps you to draw straight lines.
I mean,
Like a
yeah.
pencil. Like a pencil, it's just another tool.
But yeah, we are here for the element of friendship. The element of friendship.
5 hours late, but I'm still glad to see you.
Yeah, suddenly I couldn't do anything. There was a stupid idiot who ran his car into what is called the street light right outside our house, and because there is live wire inside, they had to shut down the whole area until
Okay,
they
well,
fixed it.
at this point, I'll have to conclude that your country's power situation is so much more delicate than over here. Um, we do have power outages on occasion, but I think that overall they're considerably more rare. Among some of the most common times a power outage occurs around here is done deliberately because so many people draw on the power that they don't have enough to spare. So they did something called rolling blackouts, where they might even warn you in advance your area will suffer a blackout. This is particularly true in the summer when everyone's using their air conditioning.
Ah, yeah, and this one no one could believe that someone would be drunk and get in the car.
Well, that person is probably having an even worse day. Anyway, I have a
I mean,
suspicion your wife.
he had no he come out unscathed, but he didn't even have a driver's license. So he's gonna probably take some time in prison.
I don't like to judge, but it does seem like you be able to tell why he doesn't have a driver's license.
What?
I don't like to judge, but it seems to me that there might be a reason why he doesn't have a driver's license,
Yeah.
and potentially never did. Anyway, I suspect you like this chapter, just considering your taste, but we'll find out.
Do you say we have happy music, calm music, or anything music? Because it can be both for philosophy.
So I'll probably call it. Well, at first it starts off cold, but it becomes like a nice conversation between friends. So if you can think of any music like that. A vast majority of this chapter is dialogue,
It can work.
which is basically the opposite of the last chapter.
Considering they went to sleep last time, I'm assuming it's the morning. And the song is called In the Morning Sun.
And part 6, elements, plural, of friendship.
There is two right behind me.
Yep.
Sitting near most of the crystal cave, they found themselves staying away for the rest of the day. So it's not the morning anymore. For the wind, daring new and stirring watch and up Hughes and Dr. Kelly Sandler both venture further in to explore the cave in their own way. Steph is playful and Dr. Kelly is largely scientific in her approach. That would be really strange if it was the other way around. The air is getting thinner up here, having mentioned to her adjacent companions, while keeping a careful eye on those who sped from the party, and also warming her hooves over a pair of heated stones thanks to the wind's magic. And perhaps in addition to Fender's bubble of warmth around them. Basically, I figured this would eventually happen, but this place has been so overwhelmingly magical and hospitable that I also figured I can't take anything around here for granted. I'm curious why Duffy is not here to me in the moment.
She's got a bubble, but she's now out exploring the cave right now, along with Dr. Sattler.
Immediately first picture. If I can.
They'll come back. That Featherwind's the only stallion among them?
Right now, yeah.
It just happens to work out that way right now. It kind of fits standard equestrian senses, I think. What you got there? Bubbles, bubbles, bubbles. Well, yeah. Well, Derpy would happily agree.
Yeah?
Probably with the same attitude.
It will always surprise me, and with a potentially hostile relative on the prowl, those surprises might not always be a good thing. Everyone is potentially hostile, so at least for something. Well, in consideration for the thinner oxygen, there exists as her look transfers from Daffy and Dr. Kelly to the surrounding. The majority of our party here are parasites, so we have an advantage on front of that. On that front. Almost the same thing. As for Phenomenon here, I shift to look at him, who was returned her gaze. It would be very funny if looks at Phenomenon and he's like playing Darth Vader. I get the feeling that he's far more acclimated to higher altitudes than the average unicorn. I wouldn't be surprised if he's far more acclimated to higher altitudes than you.
Keep that in mind as you read the next sentence.
Maybe even go back to Parasite. Yep. So that's why I got a small blue friend probably. I mean, I remember, if I remember correctly, he was flying off from his ship in another book, which was high up in the sky. A living embodiment of the wind and the sky, he is in the natural element of here. Which leaves Dr. Kelly here, and our sole concern. Then goes on, as she looks back at the white lap coat mare. Technically speaking, she's not an average unicorn either. She's a magi, and there might be some key differences in the physiology, accordingly. We are not in psychology yet. As a result, I can see with confidence how she will react to conditions like this. Those conditions will probably continue to get worse until we scale up. People are probably hearing my dog barking at the birds outside.
A little bit. And again, mainly when you're talking.
Heavy was. Also, right now, the winds are starting to get heavier out there. So no more flying, and more off the table. I heard actually that actually leaves Dr. Kelly's magic for rotation and for straight and the safest option for flying right now. But it seems slow. We will have to keep that in mind as well. I mean, it is slow but still faster than walking.
And in a way, it could probably provide shelter, too, if you need it.
But I am still saying, the more you use your magic around, the more this magic is seeping out into the environment and causing distortion.
Or vice versa. As they recharge their magic, it's gathered from the environment, so it will probably influence you too.
Yeah? They are slowly but surely causing disharmony. Unless they...
You ever heard the expression, you are what you eat?
Yeah?
I did not know what that meant as a kid, but then I thought of it on a more literal level, like the things you eat is inside your body because you ate it, and therefore it's the nutrients that fills up your body, and therefore you are what you eat.
So,
well, there's something similar that's going on with magic. If you cast magic, the only way to recharge is to gather from the environment. Therefore, you become that environment too.
So I am everything but human. There is a fellow with a lift of her right eyebrow as she asks him. I'm curious, Is there anything you can do about the thing oxygen out here? The reason why I ask is because I don't normally have access to phones with abilities like yours. So I can suggest the possibility that you might have a trick or two up your sleeve that can help. Miss, I don't have a sleeve.
Got a cloak
I
and some saddlebags.
but the cloak doesn't have a sleeve, does it?
Hmm?
The cloak doesn't have a sleeve either.
Probably not. In fact, the one character I can think that does here is Darren herself.
Or maybe the Tukari.
Oh, that's right. She's got the lab coat. We established that, yeah. And they'd be longer sleeves, too.
Yeah? Believe it or not, I'm including this question as well. I've been contemplating this question as well for the past several days. There we go. That was. I, more than anyone here, am well aware of the conditions of the wind and sky. That awareness extends to knowing the conditions we will meet at this rate. We will meet our death. Ha! If this is a look at serving, along with the brief note at her, I said, like you, I was really certain that what we would find up here, at first, because the environment isn't like any other we have ever encountered. He looked back at Daring. Like I said, this place is unusually hospitable. That said, it is still a physical realm, and it is guided by physical rules, except not as safe. I mean, it is yet. Until you charge it up with chaos.
Then anything happened after that.
Being as highly charged as it is, there is some room for flexibility here. But we are all very aware of what kind of baseline we are working with here. As such, I have discovered that, indeed, the oxygen is thinning. And we can expect that process to continue as we scale up, just like a normal nature. In a way, that's a good thing, too, because use of the flower will be things that prefer high climate with thin oxygen. Now the question is, we know it is a flower, we know what color it is, but do we know if it can speak or not?
Even an idea what kind of flower, because it was established in the name Lily.
Yeah, but still, what's grand, it can be sentient. Especially with thick magic around like this.
That actually increases the likelihood. That's actually why I would say that although a vast majority of animals cannot speak in Equestria, they can at least understand Ponish and strategize accordingly. Bears, rabbits, and all of that could probably play chess in Equestria.
There you go. There's the cure.
Is that from Gen 1?
Yeah, it's the plume.
There's also that big flower that Discord had Twilight and Cadence seeking out.
Yeah. Mortality is, it might be closely like this, though. It may be something that what she has in her something close to that.
Neat.
I will assume that's how it will look like. But a little bit more blue.
Probably.
And I have finished this one, yeah.
Yeah.
My father said that, and I acknowledged that with a nod. So, I've been giving this issue some thought, like I said earlier, and the wind continues. And I did come up with one idea, but I will turn over to try it. Which is, I knew present, on the wind side before he said, I could try to increase the nearby air pressure around us, or even localize it entirely around each of our hands. If I do that, the smaller amount of oxygen particles might be squeezed closer to us. But you would have to maintain that concentration consistently, I assume. There is no figures, which means it might be a problem while you are asleep, not to mention the constant text on your magic. I mean, it could be like the aura in a Ruby's magic system. And you of course not have your aura, but you have to keep it up.
Yeah.
There he shakes her head. It's an interesting suggestion, but I'm not sure if it's one we can reasonably maintain. My influence over the wind and sky doesn't always take constant concentration. Another counter. I just start with. That's end of my talent, aside from lightening my body weight, and I just trying some other traits with Parasite. He shakes his head briefly. Anyway, once I do make that request to the wind, it's using my own power to fulfill that request. I'm a
No, it doesn't say my, it says its. It uses its own power to fulfill that request.
No, it uses my own power.
You can't have any.
The environment is using its own magic to fulfill my request. So, if you are in an environment where there is no magic, it cannot do that.
Probably not.
In fact, whenever I am in the past and really connect with nature, there doesn't feel like there are any barriers between me and nature anymore. At that point, I am beyond mere talking. Instead, I feel like I become one with it. When it happens, when influencing nature feels about as easy as moving any of my legs. It becomes second nature. Furthermore, when I get that connected, that means I am one with nature and magic as well. But I thought he was gonna continue with that sentence. That does far more than merely charging my magic. It also feels like my right type of magic has merged with illusion, so to speak. When it happens, it feels like I have truly bottomless amounts of mana, or at least the amount of local environment has. So, what he's saying that he has attached to the nature.
Yeah, like when he achieves his avatar state, he really becomes in sync with nature, and the line blurs between what separates him from nature.
Yeah, and people say that a light appears on my forehead, and my eyes are glowing.
Right.
Wow! Dying exclaims, with a stone face and for the wind. We have to bring up this. What is
Furthermore, Aang really was an airbender, so that's another thing that's in line.
I won't find it. Fine.
Well, now I'm curious what you're seeking. What I thought you were seeking should have been easy to find.
This is not what I was searching for, but it works.
Oh. That is impressive. His expression is impressive. The most impressive.
And that's normally like that by default.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you read that paragraph above at all.
And this was a wow. That was what my game is. The truly
Yeah.
amazing talent. Yeah, I heard it. And that's normally like that by default. Other cautions. Instead, I'm more like what you see now. Thinking and talking coherently. So, not like me. When I get into a deep trance though, everything changes. Yeah, when you are in trance, you are not talking coherently probably. Or not talking at all. I see fortunately during brief moments, during one double practice. When I let my mind relax and enough, I just sink into a trance. I am in the zone. During that time, I feel connected to nature, and if there is no separation. At that point, I'm suddenly aware of all that nature is aware of. As for my body, it just moves in mindless instinct. I'm telling you now, I sometimes had to get that good with my talent to fly with the wonder boat. Because it requires such precise control of my abilities that I was previously accustomed to. Yeah, before that you were just a leaf in the wind.
Oh yeah, that's really imprecise.
I mean, no, it's precisely where the wind is blowing.
Right.
I was feeling of sinking into the zone. Something said with an ancient voice. Oh no, something can use the catalyst voice? Or at least a smaller version of that. What happened to me that happened to me plenty of times when I played Pokemon, along with the rest of my teammates. And I'm not the only one who had that experience. Our coach told us that is common practice for adding good players to any professional sport. I mean, you don't have to be a good player to become in the zone. You might get stuck if you are in the zone. To really get the most out of anything, we just have to channel some higher power. There is no agreement. That said, I too had that experience from time to time. To get me out of a lot of trouble back in the day. During a moment of kindness when every phone years was normal penny. I suddenly I get super calm, he said, and just sink into a trance. I get this feeling that nothing can hurt me. I just dance and move around any danger like a paper 40 minutes. It's such an incredible high. It's like a compass inside of me is telling me where to dodge.
Yeah.
And I just follow my instinct. Then the lift of me too, and maybe go this ride, as she said. But let's get back to the issue at hoof. You know what her hoof and the passer out again, with the root on pedal, as she said to him. So, okay, we established that now that you do have a way to affect air pressure, and doesn't even always require great concentration or magic. Under the right circumstances, your connection with nature could either rapidly recharge your magic, or astronomically expand your maximum mana supply to be equal to the environment around you. So what's the problem? Why are you nervous to try? I don't want to break the balance of this highly harmonious place.
Well, actually, you think about it. Before you read on, can you think of any reason to be nervous about the power to influence air pressure?
I mean, air pressure is a very dangerous thing to begin with.
Hmm.
I mean, I have heard a lot of divers who was like, they went up too fast and they died because of the pressure.
Have you ever heard of pressure cookers?
What?
Have you ever heard of pressure cookers?
No.
Wow, really? Well, it's a different cooking method of some kind of pot with a bunch of buttons on it. that instead of going through heat or a fan or boiling or something like that, it cooks food through getting rid of the air inside of there and creates intense pressure inside the pot.
No, but I did know this one, which was some pressure as well.
Well, yeah, water pressure in that case, and it's very intense version of it. To cut right through the lock, and maybe the table behind it. Yeah, if it's high enough, that thing is no joke.
Yeah, but it is, once again, it is messing with the harmony of this place, which we know is very delicate,
Right.
especially
Could
things like the chaos from here.
probably say the same thing of most force or magic users too.
But also, if you are changing the pressure here, that means you are lowering the pressure somewhere else.
Hmm, probably.
Which can be a problem. The problem is, I've tried this before, and noticed complications with the attempt. And I explained that the girl is a large brown friend. It was actually what I want, and more specifically, the underwater base which I forgot the name to. Did we even get the name of the base?
I think it was Avalon, something like that.
But yeah, I forgot the name of that too. We were from my surface, but there I noticed one of the explorers made in card, because he was standing out quite in the distance. Yet I noticed him, I had the screen oxygen closer to him. And I think I only made him dizzy. Yeah, you literally changed the pressure too fast. You might have get him. Because that is the first step. If you are having pressure, what is it? No, pressure illness or whatever it's called.
Pressure density?
No, when the air pressure changes around you too fast.
Hmm. Well, there definitely can be a kind of sickness that occurs. I don't know if you ever felt it if you went up a large mountain via car or plane, that there feels like some tense pressure inside your ears.
Yeah.
It hurts.
It doesn't engage to dying. So either my control over the air isn't precise enough, or there are medical side effects to the metal I tried that I am unaware of. He might be unaware of it. But there's an easy solution. Change the pressure slowly. I mean that is why there are depressurizing chambers
Submarines
in submarines or even space as well.
or aquatic bases.
Yeah. That's why you have
Yep,
to
you're right.
stay there for minutes before going outside.
I think a lot of jets, airplanes, try to be pretty darn airtight in order to help with that, to try to keep air pressure stabilized within the cockpit. Still, I have felt it, sometimes very severely. The worst ear pressure I ever felt in my ears was during the landings of sometimes in some planes, and I don't know why it's not non-consistent, but it might have something to do with the difference between the air pressure inside the vehicle versus what it was outside of it.
It might also be upon the content that you are landing. It
Could
might
be,
be different
yeah.
air pressure to begin with.
It's actually even common advice to one potential solution is you could try to chew gum while you're landing or taking off, because in the motion of chewing, you kind of put pressure pushing back out of your ears to try to equalize the pressure crushing inward.
Yeah, I heard that before.
When I landed in Hawaii back at 2007 in December, the air pressure was so bad while going towards the island that the pain lasted for several days while I was there. Well, I
You,
know why he's come. He's come to kick ass and chew bubblegum. But the problem is he ran out of one of those sources, so
and
left him stuck
now
with
we know why he got out from the bubblegum. Because he was flying here.
it. Right.
It could mean why you make the attempt, might also make the defense. Yeah, I know. Something figured. The police attempting to carry on might have had personal issues instead. The encounter. Perhaps he had unusually respiratory issues. You did say you were in the underwater base. If he's been working down there for a while, that might develop some medical issues. As I said, you might have killed him. It is an operation change. Because in order
Yeah.
to appear immediately.
Yeah, he survived that encounter. That pony was discussed in the story, but he did suffer side effects. Like he mentioned the dizziness, and that's
Yeah.
when Featherman called it quits. Like he noticed that and he released the pressure. Because that attempt, after noticing the results, scared him.
There is one big difference here. And they have a medical scientist here, who
True.
can actually
Yeah,
tell you what's the problem.
she could tell you precisely what to do from a medical standpoint, and she also has the instruments to give you more precise data,
Yeah.
too. Like probably something that could tell them this is exactly how much pressure is in this one area.
I mean, if you are changing the air pressure and keeping it at 1/10, it's fine. If you are firstly changing it, then it will go little less and probably worse
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
And we don't need that music right now. Yeah, that's a nightmare.
But as you can see, they're already starting discussion about elemental things.
Let me find some. This can work. We are still just discussing things.
Hmm.
Possibly. And I acknowledge it. And I will admit it. I didn't take all that into account. But still, I could set it up here, then become personally responsible for developing certain problems. If you are good enough with your influence over the wind to fly with a bunch of wonderful cadets, then you are probably good enough to use this solution safely. As long as you go gentle with it. Yup, that is the thing. They encourage it. It doesn't take much pressure to make things different. You really think so? But I asked with adding cheer. Wait, so are they trying to change the air pressure or are they trying to change the oxygen amount? Those are two different things.
They're trying to change the oxygen amount through air pressure.
That's not how it works. But yeah. Then do not, assistant. Just be careful how much pressure you apply around ponies. Tell the deep sea divers who came up from the depths too fast, and it's a significant degree of pressure difference down there. Some ponies' blood is void. Yep. Tell me what I was talking about.
Right.
And there will be more added information, but he does not look entirely surprised about it. And in that scenario, they didn't even have problems for a week. And then suddenly they got sick and died. They won't even notice it in the beginning, other than being a little bit sick. They had him figured correctly, and I went is way more educated than the average pony. But it appears to be an issue that slipped his mind until I gave him this reminder. Where's the blood? Are you serious? Something attitude unconvinced me. Just what kind of temperature was the water that no ponies were swimming in? Probably some negative leakage. I mean, in Fahrenheit it might be closer to 0, but then she said, and looked stunned as she said, "No, this is nothing to do with temperature. It has to do with the water pressure around them, and how that affecting the oxygen in the blood. There are other ways to cook things aside from using temperature alone. That exchange in pressure is one of them." And I've been looks meek and terrified by the reminder of this possibility. Noticing this, something that's him. Is any of this true? That you know of? It seems like Phenomenon doesn't know. They don't know about this. They're only the same facial expression.
Actually, he does, but he just got reminded of that.
Oh.
However, Stormwing is the one that was entirely ignorant until now.
But it comes now, sadly, in order, for their son's big question, and I've been informed. It is true, you have known that for a long time now, that the change in air pressure is another way to things, including food. But when it's not, there is a method it employs different from fireside cooking. Instead of charring something, it can really tenderize it. Is he okay? Then yes, he goes sad as she goes for the wind. Yeah, he's okay. He just imagined that's probably being tenderized from the inside. I don't think his pain expression, the regret one. And no, not at the moment. And the wind is still trying to understand himself and his powers. And he's often been afraid that it could have been directed to harm others in ways he did not initially expect. Since he has a good heart, that perspective bothers him.
The sentence said really good heart.
Too good for his own. But next time we speak, he does so directly to Fellow Wind by saying, "Hello, Wind." He said she waits, teaching them his attention before she resumes, to which he gathers his attention almost immediately. Something goes on. You don't need to fear your power, because you can trust yourself to fulfill it responsibly. You want send yourself. The reason why nature trusts you with this power is because it knows your heart, and you wouldn't remove it on purpose. In fact, I see another way. Instead of abusing this power, you can use it to prevent others from abusing it, if they can do so somehow. Yes, because nature never abuses its powers. There are no volcanoes, there are no tornadoes, there are no hurricanes, right?
Oh, that's good to know. I used to think there were some stuff, but you set the record straight.
You can act as an intelligent safeguard in favor of nature's natural intentions. If the air is poisoned or unnatural toxic for some reason, for example, then they come from in the knowledge that you have the power to clean it up. Serving great, as she has. And imagine that you are not like control freak. You have the power and you use it accordingly. And you know what we just learned? It sounds like there are other ways to understand non-offensively and offensively at the same time. Also, increasing air pressure might help us cook food without needing heat or light. Once again, if you are increasing air pressure here, you are decreasing it somewhere else. It can be a very offensive magic. One that you can't even defend against.
Yeah, the air tanks that divers have is very intense pressurized oxygen inside the tank. And if you shoot it with a bullet before it's drained of that pressure, and it can become outright explosive.
Yeah, imagine Penguin has to fight against a very evil unicorn who has all the magic capable to him.
Sombra?
Let's say so, bro. And instead of shooting a magical beam, Penguin decides to decrease the air pressure suddenly. Where he stands. Where Sombra stands. Sombra would go cast a bubble of shield around him, and it wouldn't help.
In that case, first, Sombra will probably get dizzy. Then he might go unconscious. And if that continues, he might outright die.
No, if it's a sudden air pressure, his body will get crushed.
Oh yeah. That can. We're talking about degrees. If you did it very lightly, then you go through all the symptoms I just described.
I mean, if you are
But
using it offensively, then you are definitely using it with a sudden burst.
Yeah, then the subject could probably implode or explode, depending which way the pressure's going.
In that sense, he would be able to create a mini black hole. If we think about that.
It'd probably take a lot of pressure to do that, but maybe that's possible.
So yeah, it is a very dangerous ability.
Well, now you're starting to understand why you're so nervous about it. When you're first practicing it and you haven't learned to control it to that refined degree, then you're just worried about the side effects.
But once again, I always said that the weapons are not the problem. The humans are.
Right. If someone else had the ability to affect air pressure and they do use it offensively, Featherwind can counter it.
I mean, even nuclear bombs thought that, this is gonna be the power source that's gonna save humanity. It's just humanity decided that, we can weaponize it. We can use it as weapons.
Not everyone thinks along those lines, but yes, some do. For sure.
Yeah, but literally, this is... It's not matter what you have, it's how you use it.
Right.
Even if you have a loaded gun, and someone ahead of you, you don't have to shoot them.
Yep.
There is nothing limit, as she said. It can come in two at times. Again, but you said as well that he doesn't have to decrease air pressure suddenly. He can just make him dizzy and lose consciousness. But there is nothing else around burn, or you are hiding and don't want the light to attract too much attention. And you also want to cook this delicious food you have. So, there it turns off as he gives a shock. Also, on the other side, you can just stop forest fires, immediately by closing off oxygen. That would be... Wait, that's almost what they do in real life, right? To stop forest fires.
From what I gathered, air pressure by itself is not inherently flammable, but you can heat things up, and when that happens, eventually whatever you heat up might be set ablaze.
Yeah? Sullivan looks back and forth between the two bears as he contemplates what they said to him. Suddenly later he goes away innocent and gets a smile and says to them, "Thanks guys for the reminder." So we leave some large ring across Father Wind's back and even uses it to pull him closer to her side for a side hug as he expected. Anytime, pal. At this point, just pal.
They had a few intimate moments together before this point.
Yeah, but this is a point where they didn't say it outright yet.
Right. You're right.
In this day begins and the two of them, they said, "You know, what I just realized? As a strange it sounds, so when it goes with such an effort to there, it just dawned on me how much of a relation that you, son, have to us. You know, for a relation that is." She shakes her head sadly. "It seems only fitting how much you two close about each other. Now we need a nurse pony who can use magic. And we may complete the cycle." I mean, we kind of have someone who can use magic, per se. Not a nurse pony, but a Time Lord.
Oh yeah.
But he's not here. Excellent service smile in the light as she expresses, "You know, you are not the first to make that observation. I've had other opponents say such things to me, even when they did not know about Phenomenon or what personal association with him. Some of my other friends, family, teammates, and even opponents have made their remark that I find them more as a nurse pony rather than the Pegasus aside. For my giant wings, of which has to mean is me, or so to live my work, that alone allow me to fly and make it do so well."
Point picture both biceps.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
He is kind of amazing, but really he isn't a great flyer. And that does fit. But somehow he was able to be included in tornado duty. And he even applied for the Wonderbolt cadets before. For what little I saw of him and that during that time, because that was the same episode Lightning Dust applied, he was clumsy up in the air.
Yeah, I imagine he was a very scholarly guy, and then he do the best that he could do, because you cannot make your way bigger.
The fact he could do it at all, and Scootaloo can't with her wings and her size, it implies that there's something else wrong with Scootaloo, and I'm kind of thinking it's her magic, because her father's an earth pony, and that may have hindered her air magic, so to speak. So
Yeah?
she's got thrust, but no lift.
Or she doesn't know the correct what is it called? Technique.
Well, it wasn't for a lack of effort. She had applied herself very hard before, particularly
Yeah?
after Diamond teased her. I mean, she practiced so hard that it went past the point of absurdity. That she's, I don't know, maybe started to get a little bit better, and then she started to get tired and kept on pushing herself, so she started to get worse and worse. With that's what happens when people practice too hard.
Yeah?
I heard of that phenomenon being mentioned by James Rolfe in the Angry Video Game Nerd for one of his episodes, where you practice against a certain boss so many times that at first you get good, but then the episode your ability starts to decay because of fatigue and frustration.
Yeah, I think I saw that video. I think I saw most of it video, by the way.
That particular one was he played Street Fighter 2010
Ah,
for NES, and it did have a pretty super hard boss because you had to face like 5 bosses in a row on a single timer while collecting power ups in order to increase your range of your gun, all in one go.
but yeah. I'm still curious why they didn't teach you to at least not fly, but at least glide. This is the first step, right? Because she has the weak point, and if
I
she
still
gets
I still think she could pull it off to at least slow her fall
yeah,
instead of dropping like a normal Earth pony. Um, and if she gets enough thrust, she even made it to Cloudsdale once by going up that ramp.
yeah,
Keeping that thrust up, probably in addition to the slingshot, which mysteriously did not break her back. Uh, it's just such a good thing she's a cartoon. Okay, that really helped. But anyway, I think the thrust also helped to let her keep going while when she gained her momentum up there in that direction.
I still feel like there is a chance for us to go to that side. We have magic.
Uh, she could probably be better at it than say an Earth pony with a glider, because she can guarantee some thrust, and then maybe kind of choose the direction of that thrust by tilting the kite around the glider. Um, all I think all she needed is Featherman's cloak or something like it, and she might be able to fly by guiding the angle of the cloak around, and she can generate her own thrust instead of forcing the wind to do it for her.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's if you're wearing something that doesn't block the your wings.
Hmm. But yeah, we went back on a tangent. Susan was not here. And somehow they didn't make her fly at all in the story. So all we know that she is not flying. And she accepted that fate. The comparison goes beyond mere appearance too, though. I think my natural ability actually is the Earth. In fact, it's so strong that I don't even need to touch the Earth to feel connected to it. It's done within me. Yeah, I don't even have to touch the Earth to feel connected to it. I feel the gravity as well. He gestured to a large bird-sized chest with a left paw. I am the Earth. Uh, there you go. There's something. I am the Earth.
Maybe in human form.
I don't know if you have seen that Kanto.
No,
Probably
but
not.
I am aware of it.
That's why I am so sorry. Certainly, loyal and possess unshakable moral integrity. When I make a promise, I know that no force can stop me from fulfilling it to the best of my ability, which is quite a lot. I also like to keep my life simple and down to earth, but Soda likes to keep his hand and body in the clouds, especially his hand. So smile things into again, as she knows what to say. I think you might mean the same way, but that's your earth element, despite being a person. Really? Then I guess we'll surprise this over a right eyebrow. and she has her ears back above her. Because I always thought I was natural fire type personally. Especially when I'm out of an adventure. No, this is not the Avatar. There is no Fire Nation here. Whatever I do with a blazing passion. My friends may find light and warmth in that. My enemies may fear burning instead. That is not your element, that is your, what is it called? Your personality chart.
While we're on the subject, what do you think yours is? You think you have the greatest affinity for?
I mean, people have called me volcano before, that I am very calm, but when I'm angry, I am very angry.
Volcano? Like lava? That would be earth and fire.
Yeah, probably. What are you doing? Give me a second. Sometime.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not letting this guy go anymore. He's being trouble. He's being trouble.
So dogs can do that too.
Yeah, I will show you after the same what you are doing.
Okay.
Then the two said curiously and told me, as she said, but I'm curious about your argument. Why you see me as an Earth type man? Who knows? You might actually come with me. Yeah? Starving shows. I suppose I can see you as a fire type too. Maybe it's chosen that you are more like now. Fun, I am Nainu. You are both Earth and Fire at the same time. Anyway, my argument is support for you being a last time is how much affinity you have for the land, and you travel it. You seem to know where you are going, even if it's the first time you are here. The next you find, tell your story, and if the land is talking to you. Also, if you seek out food like nuts and berries, you seem to know where to look. That's called experience, not your natural affinity. Again, it's almost as if you have a natural and uncanny way to communicate with the earth. There is this roof, as she said. To be fair, this land has been unusually accommodating. Don't get me wrong, I used to have excessive wilderness survival training, I think you have made someone pass up a point about me, and my connection to the land as well. But by judging that by the standard of this adventure alone, might also give you a slightly skewed impression. It seems to me that all we have to do is build a desire to find man, and voila! We shall find it, even if it's a little illogical for us to find. I wouldn't be surprised if the came back with muffins. What are you doing? Ah. Let me have something to drink. In the meantime, I can hear my voice.
But you said you'd hold on to the dog because it might be trouble, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm following her. There we go. I saw her in my room. Hi. You want to come up? Come here. You like opposite?
Finish that paragraph you're highlighting.
Yeah. I'm trying to clean my throat because I hear that there is something in it. There we go. Almost. I don't think that's true, but I agree. Let's look at turn. When I talk to the sky, I normally find it as much delighted that I can speak to it, and therefore eager to serve me. At worst, indifferent and obeys me, because it doesn't feel like it has anything else better to do. That is unless I might be corrupted somehow. Only then I do that to get hostile reaction from nature. Yes, yes, Tom. Out here, however, the elements feel almost aggressively determined to please us. Like it just leaves on even the tiniest and most remote whimsical tone because our mind. And sees it as an opportune and moral imperative to serve us again. I never seen an element that's so positive before. One might say that it's way too positive. Just like in The Walking Dead when spoiler happened.
Oh yeah, I'm sure a lot of things spoiled in that show.
I meant the game. I don't know if it happened in the show as well. I haven't watched the show. I don't mind it. Just have a sharp and a small smile. What are you doing? No, don't climb up there. No, no, no. You can see she's trying to climb up to that. The cupboard.
I guess you're not talking about climbing up to the bed, then.
No,
Dog's already there.
from the bed to the cupboard. Behind me. That's what she was saying. Was anything bad? I didn't mind it. I said with a short and small smile. After traveling through the hurricane force storms of Waterworld, on the beginning tides, style wars, The few hostile team on the Garcia ship, I figure I'm due for classification. You forgot the dollars shooting things at you.
That's not happened yet.
Oh yeah, I always forget that it is a different timeline.
Mm-hmm.
It is very pleasant for me to finally have but working for me for a change. Hi.
Cute.
So I've been fully been a present as well, on the record. But come back to here, it was more subdued. Relax. Here. Pleasant. Out here, the members so overwhelming for the team. The thought of me actually find it suspicious. That's what I said. Even Feather called it suspicious. Tell me about it. Like,
Well,
it is.
it's like that going to Starlight's village and everyone's just smiling.
Welcome!
Um,
They agreed with a lot of right before deciding to return to an alternate subject. Anyway, so if we are in agreement that Feather is an element, turn it yes, and I will be fire a combo, what about Murphy? And I told her,
stop there. Let's see if you can answer that question first. What do you think? Symbolically,
symbolically, he likes my word. It's water and air. She goes wherever the flow is bringing her. The three of them are silent for a moment, which is broken by fellow wind. On the three of them get a chance because they're not as well. At first, Nappy seemed to believe everything her outward impression would receive to success, but have been proposed. On the surface, I would say she was an airtime element, just like me, which is very fitting, and perhaps even common for a parasite. She's light, often carefree, and playful. She's often accused of being an airhead, and some of the similar terms. And while I do proud of the derogatory term, it kind of also fits what I mean in a good way. I see somebody who expresses herself very authentically. And I can't help but smile and leave approval of that. At the same time, though, I think there are deeper and more esoteric levels to Daphne that are hidden by what seems to be on the surface. On the other hand, I would attribute her a shining light or melodic sound. There's the essence of her soul, and it can cause a positive lift to others, too, even if they are unaware of it. Shining light, melodic sound. So, like a siren, they had most, right?
if you might imagine the power of the siren's call used positively, then that might be pretty good description for Derpy.
Yeah. Interesting as well. Something about with an impact phone, and she has her forehead on the sides of her highlight as she's sitting. Then again, I've come to expect some deep and positive answers from the likes of you. In that case, I have to ask, what element do you see the doctor as? Time. Without question, time. Time is not an element, we know. I also immediately see the expressing attention. Hello. Equally eager for that answer. Especially after reading some of his work on the past. I getting to know him better now. If he agreed with the four elements, I would see him as a water element.
I'll have to listen to your explanation for that one.
He literally just goes with the flow. Wherever the talent makes him.
Very fluid, easy to change. Mo-
Yeah, he is easy to change. He changes multiple times.
right. And water could do that. It's got gaseous state, or the ice state, or liquid state.
The doctor? Another repeated ability. Well, similar to Luffy, I think there are multiple dynamic layers here. In his case, though the surface might depend on his current regeneration cycle. I mean, yeah, different generations have different personalities.
Right.
Oh, I know what his element is. He is an onion. He has layers.
Right. You're the element of onions.
You do the reference, right?
Oh yeah.
We know him as the lovable, accepting, and excellent culture of the TARDIS. If I had to pick a typical element, I guess it would be Earth. It was his own sun, as he had. But remember that time when he exploded with all kinds of golden light in the TARDIS? That time, he went through something like a regeneration cycle, where he went through a regeneration cycle, but not really.
Yeah.
I remember it very well. So we compared as full stone. Yeah, I remember that the doctor exploded. Well, I remember it too. They told me something that important about him that day. It was a feeling I got before that as well, but the moment clarified it for me. There's a two element in time and space. That is, those are not elements. It's like it is like when it is the x, y, or the z angle. Oh no, it's the first one. It's time.
You mentioned that same theory earlier, though, and guess Feather's kind of agreeing with you.
Yeah. Literally what I said. That the element is time, but that is not the element.
In fact, that was your first theory.
Yeah. In other words, pure cosmic energy. If it was an element of harmony, I would actually attribute him the element of magic. No, I would give him the element of time. Because we are sure that there are 6 elements of harmony. But they don't have to be the same 6 all the time.
Okay.
I would probably say that the young 6 have different elements than the basics.
That could be something, because the way it was described for the pillars sounded different.
Yeah. The quality about him is so well hidden if you just look at him at the surface level. But I gave immediate that when he exploded with golden light, that it was brilliant and the quasar. Quasar?
Quasar. That's a spatial phenomenon. Um,
I'm pretty sure that everybody else is looking at him like that. Like, huh? What are you talking about? Because nobody else probably knows what quasar is.
oh, them? Yeah, they might have some trouble with that.
Ever since then, I became certain that this stallion is unlike anything I have ever seen in the natural world. Description of otherworldly very much actually fits him. So this is Time Lord. There you go. He is an elemental magic, and he can explode as well.
Neat.
But in this case, it is very different. He doesn't do it, he just dies. If he explodes. And wipes out the whole universe.
Maybe James Bond too. I'm not sure if you've seen all those movies, but the actors changed across the many years. That in a pattern that strongly resembles the Time Lords.
I'm looking at the third man to look at in her face. Why did you close me in? I want to go outside.
I wouldn't call that a guilty looking face though.
No. She is very not guilty. She was not thinking that she is guilty. She's a visitor across time and space. They never had belongs in at any time. In one time. And place. Not true. He belonged to one time and place, but that got destroyed. An eager traveler who can never settle down, maybe not even where he came from. The reason he is no more earth than he is any other element, because it can change the very next cycle, which is at a deeper truth. And as we know, he is the cause of the true time war. No matter how much you try to sugarcoat it, he is the one that awoke the Daleks. Whoa!
He certainly ended the war.
I said nothing. Which startled the others since they didn't know she approached them through the exploration. I went eyes are wide with amazement, despite looking otherwise unfocused, beautiful light. That is deep, like the ocean. The command further. So water. I mean, in a sense, water is the closest to the space. You know, the deep. But anyway, so as she settled down after being surrounded by the office and excellent arrival. They turned her attention to fellows. Son, you failed at the bodyguard. You noticed someone who is humming along the way and jumping around. Right?
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I know they were not leaving conversation. I hadn't told them that way before, but after you explained that, I see that you are what you are saying. Because of his ever-changing nature and the result of his natural capabilities, it's hard to quantify so pure kinetic energy. Feels like a more apt labor for him. Especially since he's a traveler from space, who never settled in one place. Hey, that rhymes! The machine, that sings melodically. A traveler from space, who can settle in one place. The Alida. We could definitely say that the girl would highly agree with you. So let's pause for a moment before making it out into my finger. So if we would take into the elements of harmony here for this theme, we have placed the magic into the hands of the Time Lord himself, right? We can all agree that laughter would be nerfy. There's no question about that.
I think so, yeah. She just easily cheers me up.
What about the others though? I wouldn't give any one of them to generosity. That's for sure.
I I was actually coming across that thought too. That I actually would think that the best elements, or probably mix of them, is kindness and magic for Featherwind, and Sternwing would actually be honesty and loyalty.
What are you talking about? Those are the same things.
Hmm.
And this
But
Hosmo thing that it is the same thing.
you can see how well that matches up there.
Yeah, I even said that she is too honest for her own good as well.
Mm,
Because
yeah.
saying that Nerf is a liability. Yeah, there are things that you can think on in your own mind, but you don't say that out loud. But she has to because she's honest. And she cares about everything. But yeah, as I said, the elements of harmony shouldn't be the same things as they are. It changes everything. It's not just those 6 elements that can be in harmony.
It could also be greater accuracy to look at each of these ponies to think they might actually have borrow more than one element if any of them really matches them.
I mean, what we would give them probably is the element of time for the Time Lord, obviously.
Okay.
The element of air for Featherwind. The element of earth for... Yeah, it will definitely mean that Love is the water. We have established everyone else's element.
Okay. How about
And
vision?
also we didn't talk about the Cali.
Mm, yeah. This
The,
chapter, they didn't. That's true.
the element of hash. There you go.
Maybe Earth. She uses crystal a lot.
Yeah, but I already get with something.
Um. Yeah. Kelly would probably make a more apt pupil for Crystal Sage than Featherwind. And
Yeah?
he's actually more like the opposite of that element, so he kind of struggles with it.
She
He still makes progress, but it's out of dedicated effort.
she's missing one wait. Is she? Yeah, but she's missing one point. Which is having a bloodline. That is the only thing that she's missing from being the...
Anyway, what did you think of the chapter?
It was nice. They didn't tell shit about nothing. They just said that, yeah, she's careful. Yeah. We have talked enough about that.
Very much so, yeah. This was like just a friendly conversation between friends, as they talked about multiple types of elements. Um, one about they started the conversation about the environment and how feathering can influence it, but then it started to shift later on to more personality traits that might match elemental type traits.
Yeah.
And I thought that brings up an interesting esoteric conversation. Philosophical too.
Also, once again, I think that changing air pressure is not what you need. Just bring in oxygen. That's all you need. You don't have to change the air pressure itself. Because for the air pressure, you can get used to. If you are climbing up. In the lack of oxygen that makes you dizzy.
He probably could do it. I think he was even better at it later on because he learned how to create moisture and cause the environment to rain. Well, he would do that by combining two oxygen with hydrogen.
Yeah.
Um, so that already proves he could affect oxygen.
I'm curious why they didn't have oxygen tanks.
Oxygen what? Oh, tanks?
Yeah,
Um,
they knew they are going up high. They knew it beforehand. I would have thought that Nagnu would have prepared them beforehand.
Actually, she was the only one that knew that. The ice blue was up there. What they were after was added later on into discussion. I think like in chapter 4. That's the first time she mentioned what they were after.
But yeah, Nagnu knew what they were after, right?
Yeah, she did. And
That's why I said that she would.
she, she suspected it would be in higher environments, but without being totally certain. Because she's never been here in this time and place.
But yeah, I forgot that Nagnu is like, yeah, I have my testy hat, and that's all I need. Have we ever seen her prepare for any of her adventures?
It's not, but I still easily see that. Despite that, however, I also see strong improvisation techniques as well. Um, I'm thinking she tries her best to plan for an adventure, but well aware she can't think of everything that she might encounter. So when she does encounter individual challenges, she analyzes it and tries to puzzle out the best solution
Yeah?
from moment to moment. So by now, is really accustomed to thinking on her hooves in the moment.
I mean, wait. Thinking of back then, first of all, they were in a party. It would be very suspicious if they started bringing oxygen tanks into the top of the tower. It would have been very suspicious for the millions. Second of all, they didn't know before they appeared that there would be a party with the Doctor. He thought the Doctor would be alone. Because he usually traveled
Yeah.
alone.
She wasn't introduced to the rest of his companions in the past, so yeah. Um, the Doctor was the only one she was aware of.
So,
Probably aware of the possibility he might be traveling with others, but without any knowledge who they might be specifically.
yeah. He
And
might
she
have
got
known about Luffy, but not Hyponia.
in this adventure. She got an extra surprise too. Not only did the Doctor back off, but he put her in charge.
Yeah? So, I can see why. But still, you had a time machine. Even if it was suspicious to not do anything like that in Polyville, you could have done that. Okay, now I see that this is a theme. We need some this and this and this. Can you bring us to that place so I can get those before we start the adventure?
A place that would have oxygen tanks is probably the TARDIS. Not only do they have that, but I think they have spacesuits. But maybe not designed for pony physiology.
I can definitely say one place where they have oxygen tanks in the underwater facility.
Probably, yeah. Avalon probably had something better. The underwater city probably had some things down there that would help permanently grow oxygen in there, like plants and such. Um,
I mean,
I really
that's what I meant. Not just in the facility. So yeah, the Avalon.
um, I actually been told once the best plant to take to outer space or any other environment to generate oxygen is some kind of algae. Um, it's some plant that grows in water.
Yeah.
and it turns the liquid very, very green as it populates it more and more. That's the best plant in the world to generate oxygen. So if you had to pick one, that would be the best one.
Ah. But I'm not going out
Maybe
of space.
maybe something else, perhaps not even biological, that would help purify the air too.
Definitely. What kind of? Let me guess, what am I doing? Yo, this is here. Do most of the time.
I actually saw a video once of someone who attempted to create an airtight environment and have that kind of algae inside the room and see how much of it they needed to help sustain one person indefinitely.
Ah.
Um, I think the experiment was inconclusive, but was gradually starting to get results the more of those tanks there's put in. And of course, you needed electricity and such to run the generators that I think it was oxidizing the water, blowing bubbles in there to help the algae, and throw off some kind of UV light of some kind to help them grow. So you need to keep that going as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of things.
Yeah, it is. But anyway, if you're going to have a permanent underwater base, I kind of think that in that facility they got something to help create oxygen down there instead of having to always get it from the surface. But if they had to, you might be able to accomplish that with a very long pipe that leads to the surface. And I remember the name of the city that was at the surface. It was called Salvage.
Ah. I can one thing, I say one thing for sure. The chapter is not gonna be one part.
Right. I do think there is one scene break in there, but it's near the beginning. The majority of it's actually one scene.
I mean, we can make it.
You'll find some place to do it, and I don't even have an idea where you could in my head.
So what we will see, we will see.
Okay.
It
You'll
depends on
post.
how tired I will be, because that will be right after I come home. So.
Okay. You'll post a link again to the next video.
Yeah. But
Alright.
yeah, thank you for being here, and see you all guys next time. Bye bye.
Thank you for the reading.
Ah, the music changed right in time.